People paying money to see me in a 20 by 20 ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 29 of the 20 by 20 Ring Crew. I am Joe. I'm here with Matt. What's going on, Matt?
What is going on?
We are just about 24 hours removed from the first ever All-In pay-per-view that took place live at the Sears Center, Hoffman Estates, Illinois, Chicago for the rest of the world. And wow, I'm still hungover.
Yeah, the hangover.
The hangover's real.
The hangover is real, man. It's definitely it's been a long but fun 24 hours reminiscing about it. Actually, you and I just got done watching a bulk of the show.
Yeah, we did.
Again, this time on TV. So yeah, absolutely. The hangover is definitely real, but no complaints from me.
As always, in the background, we have wrestling playing, and being that we watched the bulk of All In before we started recording, we elected to go back to the Sears Center for an anniversary of sorts, and courtesy of the GWN app, the Global Wrestling Network app, we are watching
Bound for Glory.
Sorry, yeah.
It's okay.
Brain fart. TNA's Bound for Glory 2008 that emanated from the same Sears Center we were at last night for All In.
Wonderful arena, man.
Dude, it's beautiful, and there's really not a bad seat in the house.
Yeah, if you're in the 200 sections, you can still see and hear everything perfectly.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
I mean, where we were sitting at, we were in the lower section from that, but again, not a bad seat in the house. You can see everything perfectly. It's like the right size for a wrestling show.
It is. It really is. We were sold out last night, 10,000 plus. I want to say between 10,100 and 10,400, if I'm not mistaken.
10,411 to be exact.
There you go.
So.
You know what? It has been quite some time since I have witnessed this Bound for Glory myself. I was in attendance with Mr. Wrestling 6 and a few other friends. We're somewhere on there somewhere.
I was actually in the same seats I was in for All In, but on the opposite side.
Holy shit! Okay.
Because I was also here, but this is before we were the 20 by 20 Ring Crew.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my god.
I was
this is surreal.
I was a 19-year-old kid going to the show. So I'm such an old man now. But yeah, it's, you know, we talk about like huge arenas and selling out these 80,000 plus arenas or 100,000 plus arenas, and that's cool. That's a really good feat to have. But as far as being in attendance, I'd rather go to these intimate arenas where no matter where you're sitting, you can see perfectly, and that's what the Sears Center is. I hope more wrestling shows emanate from that because it's a great venue.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's not a bad seat in the house. You get to see everything. You get to hear everything. And I don't know that I would call 10,000 plus intimate, but
well,
in relative to, you know, your big stadium shows and whatnot, yeah, absolutely, yeah, 10,000 is kind of intimate. Good lord,
so many faces I haven't seen.
Yeah, this is crazy. But All In.
Let's talk All In.
Let's talk All In. Man, I woke up this morning. You know, I'm pushing 40, folks. I'm no longer a spring chicken. I do try to keep in shape and whatnot, but I woke up, I had a fucking headache. My throat was sore from yelling. My right hand is chapped from all the hard clapping I did last night. That's just fucking crazy. I had a hell of a time.
Yeah.
My daughter was in attendance with us. This was her 8th grade graduation present from me. We as a city, Chicago as a city, blew the roof off of that place last night. Don't get me wrong, I knew this was a very important show, a very historic show, but I had no idea how loud that place was going to get. Like, I was surprised quite a few times. Jericho, when Jericho showed up, it boggled my mind. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand how popular he is and how popular he has been, but holy shit, I did not expect that kind of a pop for Chris Jericho.
There was loud pops. There was times when the arena was shaking because of how loud and
how loud we were being
and crazy the fans have gotten from just the movement, the clapping, the jumping up on their feet, all of that shit. So it was a really surreal experience. That, man, I hope at any point in your wrestling fanhood lives, whatever, that you get to experience something like that, because I mean that was cool. It was something that you would definitely never forget, no matter how old you are. Like it's gonna be ingrained in your head forever. Like that right there is the ultimate wrestling experience. And this is before we even talk about the matches. We're talking about the crowd. We're just mesmerized by the crowd. Like that was awesome. So for anyone listening that was in attendance, man, thank you for being a part of that and giving us that experience as well, because we were making our noise too and making our voices heard. But man, it was cool, that collective, whether we agreed with each other or not on things, it was just a crazy raucous crowd, man, and that's awesome. I'm very proud of my city tonight.
Yeah, oh man, that's the way every wrestling show should be. My wife had asked me this morning how things went. My wife doesn't watch wrestling; she's not interested, but she does support us and what we do. And I told her, I'm like, that is as close to a perfect wrestling event that I could think of.
Yeah,
I mean, the matches were awesome. The venue was awesome. The crowd was awesome. You really can't ask for much more than that. So again, if you ever have the opportunity to do something like this or be a part of something like that, do it. Just do it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So where do you want to start? You want to go through this entire card?
I do. I want to go down through the entire card.
I mean, I think this is safe to say this is going to be a pretty much a very much an all-in tribute or an all-in recollection show, because there's just too much to talk about. There's just too much to say here. So let's just go in order here. Let's start with the pre-show. Again, the pre-show was called 0 Hour, All In 0 Hour. It was exclusive to WGN America. I hope that they put it on one of the streaming services at some point, because I like to watch that with commentary and just watch it again. But at any rate, actually, before we get to the match, the show starts up with Cody and the Bucks. They introduce the live crowd. They have some cool bits with pyro and things of that nature. And they asked the crowd if they wanted to see a special cameo appearance from a legend. And out comes,
because what wrestling show is complete
doesn't.
without one?
Exactly.
You know?
And out comes Animal,
Road Warrior,
or
Legion of Doom.
And that was the first time for me that I ever got to see him live in person.
Okay.
And obviously he's not wrestling or anything of that nature, but just having his presence there.
It was cool.
It was cool, man.
It was so cool.
It was cool. He comes out on a motorcycle. He's got the gear on and everything like that. And like that's basically it. It's all he did, but it was a really cool moment, man. It was really cool. And they that crowd chanting LOD. Man, that was the first moment where it sent shivers down my spine, where it's like, this is happening. We're finally here. So that was a cool moment. A lot of cheap pops in that segment too, with the throwing of the merchandise and things of that nature. But again, that was done on purpose, and it was a really, really cool way to start the show. It was a very fun and just one of those things where you kind of set the mood of what this show is really going to be about.
Yes.
As far, so really well done. And then we get to the actual first match, tag team match. You have SoCal Uncensored, at least 2/3 of them, with the team of Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky versus them boys, the current ROH World Tag Team Champions, Jay and Mark Briscoe, the Briscoe brothers, in a non-title match Thoughts on the opening of All In 0 Hour with this match?
The SoCal Uncensored, their part of their gimmick is doing that whole bit where, this is the worst city I've ever been in, or what have you.
Right.
It kind of lost. There was something lost in translation for me with that when Scorpio Sky did it, because it's like, yeah, it's part of your gimmick, but how do you get away with that when you're fighting the Briscoe brothers, who are fucking ultra heels right now?
Yeah.
So that kind of like went wasted for me anyway.
Sure, I agree.
But it was cool to see them come out as Rocky and Apollo Creed. That was pretty cool. The match, it was a little over 12 minutes, and it was exactly what I thought it would be. It was entertaining. Both teams got their spots in.
Right.
Very cool. Always cool to see the Briscoes. Definitely one of my favorite tag teams of all time, man.
They never get old.
They never get old, man. They somehow stay like timeless and ageless,
In a world where we have the Young Bucks and these high octane tag teams, and that's what seems everybody wants right now. And you have these guys who aren't that per se, but they're just gritty, no nonsense, beat the ever living shit out of you tag team. And you know what? That formula never stops working.
Not for them anyway.
So that's why they've always stood the test of time for me, and it's one of my favorite tag teams. The Scorpio Sky thing, I agree with you. And another thing I'll add is when you are a heel and you're saying a catchphrase, don't stop saying it and hold the microphone up so the fans can continue to chant it. It's not very heelish.
No, that's not very heelish at all.
When the crowd is chanting your heelish phrase, but it is what it is. It is kind of a learning curve for him, because even though he's been in the business for a while, he's kind of now finally getting that higher exposure, especially teaming with Kazarian and Christopher Daniels with SoCal Uncensored. But yeah, I agree. It was a great way to start the start All In as a whole, not just the pre-show, because it was a solid tag team match. Nothing overly special per se, but it had the right amount of spots. It got the crowd going. As much as I was cheering for the Briscoes, SoCal was super over.
Oh man, they were over.
Yeah, and it's good to get the guys that are super over to win, especially the first match. Get the crowd going, get them feeling good about themselves. Whether I was a fan or not, which I'm a fan of SoCal Uncensored too, but just a really really good booking right there for your first match. Just overall solid tag team match. Which that right there is going to continue. What I like about it too, and I'll talk more about it as we progress. But like seeing that this is an independent wrestling show that has various different companies kind of chiming in, you can definitely see this along being used as a potential Ring of Honor storyline too.
Oh yeah,
for the potential future, especially when we have the September pay-per-view coming up, Death Before Dishonor. So you can see it as soon as that. Who knows? Moving right along, the last match of the 0 Hour was the over budget battle royale,
with the winner getting a shot at the ROH World Championship, currently held by Jay Lethal, later in the event.
Yeah, on the actual show. It was 19 individuals. I'll go ahead and just read them as they say here. You had Jordan Grace, who was the only female participant in the match. Moose, Rocky Romero, Chicago's own Colt Cabana, Ethan Page, the Swolverine Brian Cage, Billy Gunn, Jimmy Jacobs as the Zombie Princess,
yes,
Marco Stunt, Brandon Cutler, Punishment Martinez, Austin Gunn, the Hurricane, Tommy Dreamer, Cheeseburger, Bully Ray, Chuck Taylor, and Beretta, or Trent Beretta, I think he was called. It kind of varies whether he drops that first name or not.
AKA the best friends.
The best friends, and of course you have the winner, which finally got All In after vying for that for almost a year, Flip Gordon.
Who came into the Battle Royal disguised as El Hijo de Chico.
That's what it was. I couldn't remember his name. That's why I just said Flip Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as I'm watching, I was like, oh, maybe I've seen this guy before, but I didn't recognize the guy.
I love the getup he had on. He had green and yellow tights and mask, and his shirt or the top part of his tights said "Never Job." So that was cool. So yeah, El Hijo de Chico comes out and he wins the Battle Royal, only to reveal himself as Flip Gordon. So Flip Gordon will get the championship shot later on in the show against Jay Lethal.
Overall, I know you and I are not necessarily always the biggest fans of Battle Royales because they are a clusterfuck.
They are a clusterfuck, but this one was really entertaining, and it seemed if there was any kind of clusterfuckage going on in there, you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
It went off really, really well. There were no spots that I could tell where there was any lull or miscommunication. Things seemed to go off without a hitch.
Yeah.
So kudos to them, man. I had a fucking blast. I know the kid had a blast. She was loving every second of that.
The only thing I could say, and this is just my opinion here, ladies and gentlemen, I like Flip Gordon a lot. I think he's going to. I think we're looking at a future Ring of Honor World Champion, and maybe he already is. We'll talk about that in a second here. I like him a lot, and I like this is how they wrote him in there. I don't know. To me, the only thing that I could say is I was looking at some of these other guys, even like somebody like Moose, who isn't affiliated with any of the companies that were participating actively in All In. He's mainly Impact Wrestling right now. And I thought, man, that would be pretty interesting to see somebody outside of the company challenge for the Ring of Honor World title. So this is like this ultimate independent wrestling show. That would be really cool to see him do that. But that's just my opinion on that. I have no gripes on Flip Gordon winning this Battle Royal. I won't say a huge fan, but I'm a fan of what he's doing, and I continue to become more of a fan as he continues to progress. But I just looked at it as an opportunity to have a cross-branded championship match. So that's my only take on that.
Going into the pay-per-view, there was like what 3 or 4 open spots that had not been claimed officially.
Yeah.
And you and I had that talk, like with whoever they presented so far at the time. We kind of agreed that it would be cool to see an inter-brand or inter-promotional championship match go on. And that's who I was pulling for with everybody who was announced. I was like, dude, I would love to see Moose.
Yeah,
Moose and Lethal go at it. But as fate were to have it, that's not how it went. Which again, I also am not full of gripes with this one. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, definitely cool. Definitely one of the better battle royals that I've seen in quite some time. So overall, it was a great way to kick off the overall All In show. Definitely the way that they ended it with Flip Gordon doing it, especially if you are a fan of his or you know of it, you know the story behind him trying to get into All In. Certainly, if you didn't buy your pay-per-view yet, that was definitely a good way to say, hey, do it right now because it's happening. So that was the pre-show. That was it. It was again great first hour. That was free for anybody that had WGN America, and that led straight to the All In pay-per-view. And we got kicked off with an impromptu match that we didn't know that was even happening until right before it happened. And it was a match between Matt Cross versus MJF, better known as Maxwell Jacob Friedman. What do you think about this match?
I have very little experience watching MJF, but I do like the level of heel he is. I think it works out great, especially with his in-ring performance.
Yeah.
He does all the little things that are necessary to get the heel aspect of his character over. Everything from, Matt Cross gets up there and he's on the top rope ready to jump down, and MJF just slowly rolls away from him. Things like that. It was really, really cool to see. And he had some nice little chain wrestling going on too, man. That was really, really cool. It was stuff I had never seen or had not seen in quite some time. Matt Cross, I'm always impressed with Matt Cross, man.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Matt Cross is also Son of Havoc on Lucha Underground. And if you haven't watched any of that, either go stop what you're doing, pause this episode, and go watch some Lucha Underground with Son of Havoc, a.k.a. Matt Cross. You won't be disappointed. That guy can fly.
Yeah.
He can do all kinds of shit, man. And last night at All In, there was no disappointment whatsoever, man. It was cool. That it's another one off of my bucket list to see in person.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely a nice surprise when I saw him. MJF, I've seen him in some CCW shows. He's like the pretty boy Steve Corino of CCW right now.
Yeah, okay.
So that's kind of what he's doing there.
I could definitely see that.
And yeah, it definitely works. Because there's times where I'm watching and I'm getting annoyed by this guy, So
he's doing his job.
He's doing his job, man. Matt Cross, yeah, that was a guy too that when I saw him, I was like, holy shit, like that's awesome. So really good way to start the match. They go almost 10 minutes. Solid match. As far as independent wrestling goes, it's great that you have, because in a show that has independent wrestlers but bigger names, it's great to have some of the guys that might be lesser known for a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
So that's awesome that they did that. Again, really smart booking. And you know what? You do it as the first match. You didn't do it at the pre-show because it's not the best selling point per se. You do it in your first match. You get the crowd going again. And it did. They delivered. Both of those guys delivered. It was a great match. It's a great way to start. The next match on the card saw Christopher Daniels, the third member of SoCal Uncensored, take on the Green Arrow himself, Stephen Amell, #Vigilante Club, with, I have to add, special guest referee
Jerry fucking Lynn. Oh my god. I have not seen Jerry Lynn in person at a wrestling event since a Ring of Honor show like 10 years ago.
That was my first time.
Yeah, so
my first time seeing Jerry Lynn.
Yeah, we got to see him. We got to see him that one time, and I think for me that was it. Besides last night, so
right.
But it was cool. It was cool to see him referee, and he didn't take any shit in this match, that was also really cool. I for sure thought when he took his ref his ref polo off that we were gonna see a move or two, which that kind of I was like, man, it would have been nice to see that, but he didn't. He was just trying to enforce what was going on. This match went 12 and a half minutes. And the first thing I commented to you during this match, the entirety of the match, was Stephen Amell is gassing pretty bad. He was,
yeah.
I don't know. I get it. He's a TV star and he's got schedules and
I still expect a little more than that.
I did too, and I really thought like he was just going to be in better shape, have that stamina to go.
Yeah, I mean he like as far as like shape, he's in good physical shape as far as
didn't have the stamina,
being
man,
cut, but yeah, there's a difference in that.
Dude.
He was having trouble hanging.
Yeah,
sure.
I was about to tell him like stop the match, get him some oxygen, man, because There was more than a handful of times where he just kind of like almost gave up on whatever he wanted to do, you know, and it's like, man, he did pull off, for all intent and purposes, what is supposed to be a Van Terminator from all the way across the ring.
Yeah.
I was slightly impressed with that because he did it, and I'm like, oh, that was pretty cool. And then you're like, you know, he is pretty tall. And I'm like, you know what? You're absolutely right. Why am I?
And I wasn't
why
trying
am I
to
that
take
impressed?
I wasn't trying to take anything away from. So you know how I feel. Joe knows how I feel about the use of celebrities in wrestling matches. And ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know my opinion on it, I hate it. I hate celebrities in wrestling matches. You can argue with me all you want about how it brings in, different people to try to be your product and blah 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 blah, and that's fine. Hey, look, it doesn't matter what my opinion is. I don't call the shots. I don't like it. With that being said, hats off to Stephen Amell, because even though he didn't have the stamina to hang with Christopher Daniels, and then again, that's Christopher Daniels we're talking about here.
Very true.
We're not talking about just anybody here, but even though he didn't have the stamina to quite hang, he took the bumps. He pulled off some decent moves, and for what it was a decent match.
It was a decent match,
so,
and much more decent than I thought it would be.
Absolutely,
to be honest,
I did too. Yeah, I would say the same thing.
Because let's face it, as Christopher Daniels is one hell of a talent and a very seasoned veteran at this point in his career,
right?
There's only so much selling he could do. At some point in that match, the other person in the match has to do their part. Yeah. Just like with Alexa Bliss and Ronda Rousey.
Right.
You know, Alexa Bliss can only sell so much for Ronda Rousey. So it was really, really refreshing to see that this match went off, and it was a solid match.
Yeah, for what it was. It went 12 and a half minutes. Was probably a little longer than it should be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But...
Well, like 3 of that was Stephen Amell being gassed. So.
But I
getting blown up real quick, man.
I appreciated what the attempt that he gave out there. You know, when you have these celebrity matches, my biggest issue is that they look at this as a payday, or as a publicity stunt. For Stephen Amell, like, even if he saw it that way, you didn't get that feel. I didn't get that feel, because if that was the case, he would have taken certain bumps that he took. I definitely got somebody that appreciated the business, that respected the business, and that was just going to give the best performance that you can possibly give. And for his first one-on-one match in front of a crowd of that size, hats off to him. I didn't like the fact that Christopher Daniels was used for this match, but at the same time, it was probably the best choice to pick too, because again, you are talking about the ring general himself. Like, if anybody's going to get this guy over, it was going to be him.
Yeah, that's for damn sure.
And I like the fact that Christopher Daniels won the match too. That helps ease my mind on things too, because again, it sucks when they have to lay down for them too. Overall, again, it was cool. Apparently, there's a lot of things that we're going to talk about tonight that it was built up on being the Elite that I don't really watch every episode of. I'll watch if I remember to watch it, but I guess that was a rivalry that was built up from that show.
Yes.
Okay, so there you go. But it was good. Like I said, it was good. Best part about it for me, Jerry Lynn. So I miss Jerry Lynn. I do.
So do I, man.
It sucks that we're human beings and we age. You know.
Yeah, man. Yep.
That's the worst part about life, man. Because man, if Jerry Lynn can still go, I know without a doubt he'd still be going right now. The next match we have here was a 4-corner survival match. One fall to the finish, because that was a question that I asked you. We didn't know.
We didn't know.
Until it happened, we didn't know. You have Britt Baker versus Chelsea Green versus Madison Rayne versus Tessa Blanchard. 4-corner survival match. What is your take on this match?
This was my first time seeing Tessa Blanchard, Chelsea Green, and Britt Baker.
Same with me.
So
Yeah.
that was cool. Well, first time live, I should say. Very cool to see Britt Baker and Tessa Blanchard for sure. Chelsea Green, I wasn't too familiar with.
I know you don't watch a whole lot of Impact Wrestling because that's where she's from.
Yeah, I try to, and like I've seen like very, very little bits here and there.
Well, that was during the time when you and I were both not watching.
Yeah,
That's where that whole that whole gimmick came from.
the hot mess,
The hot mess,
dude.
yeah.
The gimmick's only part of it. She knows what she's doing in the ring. She was a major part of that match going off.
Yeah,
successfully last night.
Yes.
It was cool to see Tessa Blanchard come out, and then we noticed that her father is out in the audience.
That was cool.
And he ended up leading her to the ring. That was cool to see Tully there. Someone else that I have not been able to see live. So that was a first for me.
First for you? Nice. Awesome.
So,
first for me as well.
but yeah, the match was awesome. Some of the spots they were doing were pretty cool, and again, it just good solid work in the ring, and you know, for having them four, I don't know how often these four women have fought together or fought against one another. I know you were telling me that who was it, Britt Baker and Chelsea Green were.
They were a tag team for a company called Rise, which is an all-women's female wrestling. Definitely check them out, ladies and gentlemen.
So they were a tag team in Rise. Other than that, I don't know about the other two and how familiar they are with one another. But
Madison Rayne and Tessa Blanchard currently have a rivalry in Impact.
there you go. So it was nice. It was fluid.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I tell you what, they went almost 13 minutes, and
Could have gone longer, in my opinion.
it could have gone longer because it didn't feel like anywhere near 13
No,
minutes,
it didn't.
man. For me, it felt more like, I want to say like 6 minutes, but it was cool, man. It was cool. And then you know, the show of respect after the match was over, they were all shaking hands and bowing for the crowd, which, you know, what more can you ask for? It was cool. It was a lot of love in that ring last night, man. And to see stuff like that and everybody's egos being put aside and being checked, it was great. I can't complain. We are still watching TNA Bound for Glory 2008 on and there I am. I see myself.
You saw it?
Yeah.
I saw it, yeah.
Yeah.
You are it now.
It's a mixed tag match, right?
Yeah, it's a mixed 6-person tag.
It's the Beautiful People
And Cute Kit,
and
which is Billy Gunn.
and Billy Gunn against Rhino, ODB, and Raka Khan.
Which I think was Linda Miles in WWE, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're right. Tracy Brooks is the special guest referee. Man, I vaguely remember this match.
I do. I don't either. I vaguely remember it too. But there was a spot where Angelina Love was distracting Tracy, the referee, and they had ODB in her corner, in the Beautiful People's corner, and they're just standing there. Like, that's usually a traditional spot where, like, the heels will beat up on their opponent illegally, and they're just standing there. Like, why is she distracting the referee then? Yeah, it was like a totally botched moment, distracting me for a second. But going back to people who know what they were doing, the 4-quarter survival match, Tessa Blanchard is a pretty mega heel right now, and most companies that she works for, promotions that she works for, they're all shaking hands and everything like that, and then she turns around, and instead of shaking hands, she immediately goes for a hug on all those. And I remember telling my wife, I was like, and again, I'm going to talk about this more as we progress, but this is one of those first moments. Same thing, too, with the Christopher Daniels Stephen Amell match, where it's just, you stop what you're doing, and you pretty much look around and say, look what we're a part of. Man, and that was cool. Like, it's, all right, the characters are over, we're done doing that. It's just like, holy shit, Like, look at what we've done. Look at what we helped create.
You know what? I caught myself doing that quite a few times last night. Just stopping and just taking it all in and looking at the crowd and like, holy shit. It's been a long time since I've been a part of something like that, like to that degree. I mean,
right.
You and I go to Ring of Honor shows and whatnot as of late, but it's been a long time since I've had that experience where like everybody's into it, and there's no lull or anything like that. Man, it was fucking great.
It's really cool too to see essentially the dressing room, the locker room walls kind of being dropped in front of us, and it's just to see moments like that. You see it on TV, and it's like, man, that's really cool. But to be there live and to hear that crowd reaction on top of it, to feel it. And I know we sound extreme, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm not kidding. You can feel it. You can feel that emotion, that electricity, and it was a really cool moment. And there was so many of those throughout the night. The next match actually kind of surprised us that they did it so early. But the next match was the match for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, the 10 pounds of gold. It was Cody versus the defending World Heavyweight Champion Nick Aldis. And before we talk about this match, I'm just going to flat out spoil it for you right now. Cody wins the match. He takes the championship. He comes out, and I don't know what it was for you, because you've told me right away that he's taking the title. And before you give me your answer, he comes out. He has Brandy Rhodes, his wife, with him. No surprise there. She actually comes out first. But he comes out with Diamond Dallas Page, Glacier, Tommy Dreamer, and another person who I wasn't too familiar with. Having DDP there was a good selling point, but that look in Cody's eyes, I mean, I'm not trying to call Cody out here, but it looks like he was crying in the back. And that right there was me saying, like, he's trying to get his shit together so he can do this match, because something special is about to happen. Yeah. I don't know if you saw the same thing that I saw.
I did.
So that's, for me, that's when I just like, man, I don't know. I don't know if like there was a part of me that was hesitant, but like deep down I felt like, man, Cody's taking this title and we're going to be a part of something special here.
And you and I had talked about it before he came out, because again, we're like, okay, this is the 6th match on the show, basically the halfway point,
right? And
they're coming out now. For whatever reason, I just thought this would be further down the card, like later on in the evening.
Yeah, if not the main event, the co-main event.
Yeah, something to that effect. And again, I'm not complaining here. I just that's the thought process that I was used to. So for them to come out and wrestle at this point in the night, I was like super surprised.
Yeah.
And I also noticed that look that he had, and I'm like, man, it did look like he had been crying. And let's face it, who wouldn't in his shoes? I mean, for being who he is and the lineage that he represents in professional wrestling, especially when it comes to that title, yeah, I would have been worked up the same damn way.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
I gotta imagine DDP probably didn't help with that. Because how close DDP and Dusty were.
Yeah, man. Yep.
So that was that look on his eyes, man. You just, ladies and gentlemen, whether you're a wrestling fan or not, it doesn't matter. You the eyes tell so many things of what a person's feeling at that particular moment, and that particular moment had a look of angst, but a look of absolute joy. It wasn't like he was afraid or scared or nervous. It was the absolute look of joy. And the only thing that would probably be upsetting is that he's doing this, and he's doing this, the title that represents so much with his name. And I guarantee you he's thinking about one person at that particular moment. Not himself, not his wife, not anybody he's coming out with, but his father, who represents so much of that title as itself, and that here you are, and a show that you put together yourself. You know, you booked this show again, something that his father has done throughout his life,
Yeah.
and to go after that title and what that title represents, you know, that has to be the emotion that you would have to feel is. I'm surprised he wasn't crying on the way out. You know, it's just the amount of emotion that you have to be running through your body at that moment. On top of the fact that you have to actually have a match now with Nick Aldis. On top of it is got to be an extremely difficult thing to do.
Punky head, the eyes is the window to the soul, baby. Absolutely, man. I don't know, you know, you and I did not watch any of the StarCast over the weekend.
No.
To be honest with you, I know I'm going to probably get a lot of shit for this, but I really wasn't all that interested.
Nor was I. I didn't want to pay the dough either.
That
for the
too.
cost.
I had other stuff going on for the weekend, but you know, before All In, I don't think I would have had the time to to ingest all that media. But I don't know if they're the people who came with each of the competitors in the match. I don't know if that was part of something that happened during StarCast or what have you, but for whatever reason, you know, I could see Brandy Rhodes, that's fine, but Cody also came out with DDP, Glacier, and Tommy Dreamer, and Tommy Dreamer also had polka dots on.
Polka dots. I see you in polka dots.
Oh man! And then Nick Aldis came out with Samuel Shaw, Sean Daivari, Tim Storm, and my favorite fucking person in the world, Jeff Jarrett.
Double J, baby.
Oh man, you know what?
He was sober.
He was sober, and you know what? Listening to the crowd around us react to everybody coming out, he was the one that got the most, like, holy shit, it's Jeff Jarrett. And I could not be any less excited, man. Let me tell you, I was just like, oh Jesus!
Why are you here?
I turned over to Mr. Wrestling 6, and I was like sticking my fingers towards my mouth, like gag me, like and they're laughing at me. But yeah,
I was surprised by Sean Daivari.
again,
I don't know what's going on there.
I don't know if this is like a whole NWA board kind of thing, or
Is he part of that?
I don't know.
I mean, I
don't
get
know.
Tim Storm.
Yeah,
You know, I totally
right,
get that.
right. But either way, that was pretty interesting gallery of people to come to ringside at the beginning of the match. But
And let it be known that once the match started, everybody went back. Besides Brandy Rhodes,
yeah, everybody left.
Yeah, everybody left. It wasn't an overcrowded match. It was everybody left. We might as well just talk about it though. There was a spot where Cody looked to be hurt. You know, the axe was thrown out by Earl Hebner. Usually stands for
medic or something along those lines.
And it seems real quick here. It seems like because that was one of those signals that was always like sacred, where that was never part of the show. But it seems like that's been part of the show for a lot of things now.
More and more.
So I don't know if they got like a new signal or something, because the fans caught on too much, and now it's put on a new. Because Cody didn't need medical attention at that point. But anyways, Diamond Dallas Page comes out, checks on Cody. Sean Daivari comes out too to cause some shit, and he starts some shit with DDP, and he gets a diamond cutter for his efforts. That was as far as any type of interference took place, although it wasn't really interference.
Right.
So that was as far as that. Everybody went to the back. There was nothing going on of that nature. So it was as clean of a match as we probably could ask for in that sense. So
again, something that surprised the hell out of me, because I'm not saying that Nick Aldis was going to do some underhanded shit, but You never know, and let's face it. Throughout the years, especially the last 20 years, that's become more prevalent in U.S. professional wrestling.
Right.
And let's face it, there's no stranger. It's not, that situation isn't a stranger to the NWA World Heavyweight title either.
Right.
So, but I really enjoyed the match. The crowd around us was basically reading my mind, like, throughout the match, about certain spots in the match. Like, oh, this is like WrestleMania 13 with Austin and Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Oh, this is like whatever WrestleMania with Macho Man and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Shit like that. And that was so cool to see those references come out in the match, and just what kind of an experience that it made for not just us, but for everybody around us. I super fucking geeked out at that point in the night, because that's what I grew up on. I grew up on the NWA and that title. That, like, to this day, that is by far the most important title ever in my wrestling experience, even to this day.
Yeah.
I know it's lost a lot of its luster and stuff over the years, but that is still my favorite title ever, by far. And for me to be able to watch an actual title shot take place live, and I'm not talking about like the TNA NWA title, which was an offshoot of that, and things like. No, this was the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship.
The 10 pounds of gold.
10 pounds of gold. I was so fucking excited. Congratulations to Cody. I said it from the beginning. It just makes sense, man. It just makes sense that he takes that title. But when he came out, and he had his dog with him, he had all his wife and all these people, and you're like, man, does he still take it? And for a split second, I thought, you know what? It has happened that way before. It is a rarity, but it has happened before where all the fucking stars line up for you, and then last minute there's a booking change or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, nope, he's not going to take it. And for a split second, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Are they going to piss off 10,000 people?
Yeah.
Because let's face it, that crowd was completely Cody.
It was Cody. It was Cody or bust, and for the crowd. A couple things I want to say.
Sure.
First of all, hats off to Nick Aldis. He posted on Instagram on September 2nd a very, very cool picture. It was a picture of the ring, the All In ring. And he told a quick story about, because he's from England, about what wrestling means to him. And there was growing up, he would set his alarm to 1:30 in the morning so he could watch the whatever wrestling show that was on. And as a kid, like that always stuck with him, and he always wanted to be a part of something of that nature. And for him, All In was that. Win or lose, All In was that, and he was so gracious in relinquishing and losing that title to somebody of Cody's status, and to hear what, again, we're talking about what pro wrestling means to people, these guys and girls, and even though he stayed within character during All In, even after the loss, not that he did anything underhanded afterwards. But read that story was see that picture, read the caption, and read that story was really cool, and it's really cool to hear what professional wrestling means to a lot of these guys, and that international flavor here, where always wanted to be American wrestling was always huge for him, and to be a part of something of this nature, man, that was really cool.
And to come in as champ, too.
To come in as champ, man.
like He's not a slouch, I believe they said 223 days as NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, and
I don't think anyone's defended that title as much as he has, at least not in recent years.
No, absolutely not. No, he's done that. He holds that that notation easily. I mean, shit. His crusade was to defend it 22 or 23 times in 30 days.
Yeah.
So,
You know, and when it's all said and done, Nick Aldis needs a ton of credit for helping raise the prestige of that championship again. Because without his work,
this wouldn't be possible.
This wouldn't have happened. This would not have happened.
Absolutely.
And the other thing I want to say, Cody being the NWA World Heavyweight Champion makes 100% sense. And I talked about the lineage and all that stuff. It has nothing to do with that. Because at the end of the day, Cody has never wanted to be Dusty's son as far as his legacy goes. He wanted to build his own legacy. Obviously, the guy loves his father as he should. We love his father. And we miss him dearly. But this was not about Dusty Rhodes anymore.
No.
This is about Cody.
This is about Cody.
And it makes complete sense because of what Cody is doing for the wrestling business. Obviously, All In being one of them. But again, as we talked about previously on the show, Ring of Honor, New Japan, and many other different companies out there, that title is going to see exposure to. That's what that title needs. And as much credit as I want to give to Nick Aldis, absolutely. But Cody is on a different platform right now than Nick Aldis, and that's what that title needs.
Oh, yeah.
Again, this would not have been possible without what Nick Aldis has done for that championship belt. But now it's time for Cody to do the same thing on a bigger platform. And that's why he's the perfect champion right now for that title. So, hats off to Cody, man. Overall, too, we barely even talked about the match. The match was good. Good chemistry, too. Absolutely great, man. Absolutely great. It was one of those hair-raising moments for me, too, when he won it. Because it was just like, you and I got to be part of that. We got to see not only the championship defended, but we got to see the championship change hands. And there's not many people around that got to see that,
Not many people can say that.
So that's awesome, man. I'm very proud to have been a part of that. We're gonna go talk more about All In, but before we do that, we're gonna take a quick time out, pay some bills. So hang tight for part 2 of the All In recap show.
Stay tuned.
Hello, wrestling fans. Matt here, and I have a question for you. Do you think you know more about wrestling than the 20x20 Ring Crew? Well, now's your chance. Starting this September, your boys at the 20x20 Ring Crew will be starting a brand new monthly contest where we test your knowledge on the history of professional wrestling. Each week, you have an opportunity to answer a brand new question. Be one of the first 20 people to answer correctly, and you'll be entered in a drawing to win cool prizes. I'm talking pops, figures, shirts, DVDs, Blu-rays, and much more. Visit 20by20crew.com/podcast/Instagram for more details. And now, enjoy more of the show.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for hanging in there with us and supporting the show. We're done paying bills this week, and we're back. We're talking about All In 2018, the first, maybe of many, as we sit here and watch the Global Wrestling Network app. We're watching TNA Bound for Glory 2008, emanating from the Sears Center in Chicago, Illinois, which we were at last night for All In. Again, I'm here with Matt, and we're going through the All In card as a review from last night. To catch everybody up, we just got done talking about Cody Rhodes winning the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship, the legendary 10 pounds of gold, held by people like Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, and Harley Race.
Just to name a few.
Just
don't want to keep name dropping here.
So we're about halfway through the card, and the next match on the card was Hangman Adam Page of the Bullet Club up against the bad boy Joey Janela alongside Penelope Ford in a Chicago street fight which ran a little over 20 minutes. I actually finished the match today with you before we started recording because my bladder and my appetite could not keep me from interrupting the match for myself. So me being a diabetic, I had to go eat something, and I chose this match because I was like, shit, the only ones that are left are the Ring of Honor title match, the Omega match, the Okada match, and the main event, and I'm like, shit, I might as well do it right now. I know I'm gonna miss some cool shit, but I gotta go.
Yeah.
So I go, and I was telling Matt while I was in the bathroom, there was a guy who was completely drunk out of his mind, which is always entertaining at some point. And I'm in there, and he is announcing to everyone in the bathroom, the men's bathroom, that like exactly what he's doing and why he's doing it. So he's at the urinal, and he's got his left hand out like he's going to do the Iron Claw on somebody. And then he's got his other hand around his member, and he's taking a whiz. And he's like, "Don't worry, guys, don't worry. My left hand, I use this one for beer all night, so it's clean, it's cool, you know." He's like, "My other one is my dick hand." And I'm like, "Oh boy, here we go." So, you know, us guys in line, we're just kind of laughing about it. And he gets done, and he uses his left arm with the clean beer hand to kind of like give an elbow drop to the urinal switch to hit it so it flushes. And he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go rinse off my dick hand over here in the sink, cause this hand, my left hand, is still good. You know, it's clean, cause of beer." And he gets over there, and you hear him hit the water and everything, and he's like, "All right, I'm done. See, no problems. All right." And so he leaves, and we all have a laugh about it. Thanks for the little bit of entertainment while I was using the bathroom, whoever you were. But
maybe he's listening to the show right now.
Yeah, so I get back, and I overshot our section by like 4 rows.
I tried calling you.
Yeah. And when I finally got my act together, I get back to my seat, and my daughter could not tell me fast enough what I missed. She was just like, "Oh my God, you missed so much stuff in this match," and I'm like, "I know, I'm sorry." So, but a bottle of water and a churro later, she was a lot calmed down. So.
I did not know they had churros there.
They did have churros.
Should have got one.
That's like her go-to snack when we're at an event like this.
Okay.
Do they have churros? So, but yeah, this match went on for a little over 20 minutes, and going back and watching the match with you before we started recording, man, I did miss a lot of shit in that little bit of time I was gone.
She wasn't lying.
Good God. This match, first of all, this match was better than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to take anything away from Paige or Janela, because I like both of those guys. Especially Paige, who happens to be on this unbelievable swing of momentum coming off the New Japan G1 tournament. I mean, he's definitely got his shit together, and watching him wrestle is such a fucking delight, man. He executes a moonsault onto the floor during this match, and it is like perfection.
Yeah.
So for a dude his size to be doing shit like that, oh my God, it's fucking awesome. And again, Janela's no slouch either, man. You and I were talking about Steve Corino-esque performers earlier.
Yes.
For me, that's Joey Janela, man. He's a little bit of everything, and he does it so well. With and without Penelope Ford, mind you.
Who has some pretty cool spots.
Dude, the whole Matrix thing,
yeah.
and the continuous backflips, it was cool as shit, man. But this match had everything, man. There was a hardcore element. There was actual wrestling. There was storyline to go with it.
Some comedy bits.
Yeah. It was like, damn. It was much more than I had anticipated.
Yeah, I'm not trying to take anything away from Joey Janela. Again, I'm a fan of his, current WWE champion. But Hangman Page, I've gone on record on the show before. That dude's figured it out, man. That dude has figured it out in such a short period of time. And as I said during the G1 show, a few episodes back that he's at that point where he's making Booker's lives very difficult because it's like, man, you have to put this guy in high-profile matches now.
Yeah,
You have to. He's figured it out faster than I've seen anybody figure it out in their wrestling career because he's young.
He is young. I think they said he's like, what, 21, 22
Yeah.
last night? Yeah,
Yeah.
so
he for him to be at that level right now is a very special thing. The match he had with Joey Janela, I went in there thinking like, oh, it should be a decent match, and then I don't know if it was announced prior, but certainly when it was dubbed the Chicago Street Fight,
it was announced prior.
it was announced prior. I must have missed it then.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, it happened on Being the Elite, so that's probably why.
By the way, a little bit of fact checking here. He's a little older than 21, 22. He's actually 27, but still young.
Oh, shit, okay.
Yeah. So that was, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
That was the Elite just being goofballs there. But yeah, he's still a young dude, though. Still a very young dude. But when I found out it was Chicago Street Fight, I got even more excited because I was like, that's the perfect match for these two guys right now. And I don't even, again, I'm not a big follower of Being the Elite. I don't dislike the show. There's so much things that I watch, I just tend to forget to watch it. And so with me not even knowing anything what's going on with any kind of storyline at all, I was like, that's the perfect fit for these two because like they're although albeit they're great wrestlers, and I've seen them do some good technical wrestling moves. Together to put them in that type of element, especially since this was the only no holds barred match that was signed for the night. I was like, that's the perfect fit right there. Those two guys are going to deliver. They're not afraid to do high spots, as we saw throughout. There was some cringe-worthy moments, man. Some spots where I just like, fuck, like they're dead. They're dead. There was the power bomb off the stage. The Page throwing Janela, and he slipped, unfortunately.
Yeah, he didn't quite make that table, so
Yeah.
he took the side of the table more than anything.
Yeah, his head hit that side of the table, and anytime you see it like that, man, like that's a scary moment.
That is scary, man.
And then to take the finisher, I forget the name of Adam Page's finisher.
Yeah,
but to take that finisher being dropped on your neck from a ladder
onto a table. Holy shit!
Yeah,
man.
you talk about trust there, man. I mean, God, it had everything. It had everything you wanted, man. Excellent match. I'm glad they went 20 minutes.
They did,
and that was a great time for them.
Again, another one of those matches, like you say, it went 20 minutes, and it didn't feel that way.
No, time flies when you're having fun, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what that was, man. It was a good match, man. I'm really, really happy that they went with that match because, again, Adam Page has figured it out. Joey Janela is starting to finally get a little more respect in the business now. He's been around for a little while, and it's like now he's starting to get to the point where, like, hey, Joey Janela is somebody.
Yeah. So,
see those two guys in it. It was the right time for that match. So. Excellent match, man, and we can't talk about this match because I found it perfectly that your bathroom situation with the guy and his penis hand happened during this match because we're talking about Hangman Page here, who you're better off telling the story or telling the storyline, I should say, but had a little situation with Joey Ryan. Who's definitely known for his...
So, if you haven't watched Being the Elite, throughout this, I'd say like the past 10 to 15 episodes, you've had a storyline come up where Adam Page ends up killing Joey Ryan. Because he wanted to expose Joey Ryan for his fake penis, as he called it. And so, Joey Ryan, obviously, the wrestler who's infamously known for doing spots with his penis in the wrestling ring, like it's its own wrestler. And so, he ends up quote unquote killing Joey Ryan in the storyline. So Joey Ryan's been dead for like the past, I don't know, 2-3 months. And he has since gotten rid of the evidence in the form of a phone and a pair of boots. And so for like the past, I want to say, 3 weeks of being the Elite, Adam Page has been walking around barefoot everywhere because he refuses to put on the boots because he got rid of them. So during this match, Penelope Ford eventually opens 2 what look like evidence bags, trash bags. One has the boots that Adam Page was wearing, and the other one has the phone, and they both get used in the match. So the match ends, and Adam Page is still in the ring. The lights go out, and you see something on the screen, and what it is Joey Ryan's dead body, and you see his penis rise again. And not long after that, a la The Undertaker, instead of druids, there are inflated penises walking on the stage, like 6 or 8 of them.
Yeah.
And they line both sides of the ramp, the runway down, and lo and behold, Joey Ryan returns at All In, and he comes in and makes very quick work of Hangman Adam Page, complete with a Joey Ryan lollipop.
Ugh.
Yeah. And yeah, it made for some very, very interesting parts of the show. I believe the crowd was chanting "Rest in Penis."
Rest in penis. As Hangman Page is being carried out by the penis druids.
Yes, by the.
It was funny. So,
Man, I've been watching wrestling 36 years of my life. I ain't never seen shit like that.
speaking of that though, so as soon as the match ended, I made a beeline for the merchandise stand because when we first got there, the line for merchandise was just insanely long.
That's an understatement, man. That thing went from like one end of the fucking building to the other.
Yeah.
No bullshit, guys.
It was fucking bad. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'll pay the extra dough. I'll pay eBay prices if I want the shirt that bad. Mr. Wrestling 6 had previously gone to leave for whatever reason, and he came back with a shirt, and I was like, oh man. And then I asked him I asked him what he got. I saw what he got, and then when you left, and I asked you the question like, was the merchandise line still super long? And you're like, no, not at all. So as soon as the match was over, I made a beeline straight to it, and I was only gone for a few minutes.
Yeah.
I bought my shirts. Currently wearing one right now, the Chaos from New Japan Pro Wrestling in the Chicago flag color.
That's a sweet shirt.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. It makes me want to get that LIJ Chicago shirt even more,
man.
and the New Japan logo. I do have the Bullet Club. You and I both have the Bullet Club Chicago. But anyways, I also got the event shirt with all the stats of the
That's
show.
the one I want.
Yeah, that's a great one. Went and got the shirts. Saw the head guy from Ring of Honor again. I forget his name. I meet him like almost every time, and I don't remember his name at all.
Is it Joe Koff?
Could be, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
He actually put my shirts in the bag. He was working the merchandise booth.
He was much nicer to you this time than he was to me and my daughter at.
Oh no, he was a dick.
At what was it, Global Wars?
Was it Global Wars? Yeah.
because we got to meet him at intermission.
Okay.
We got to meet the Bucks and
Right.
Cody.
Right.
Yeah, because he was like hopping. We were trying to get as many autographs as we could
Right.
before it was time for them to pack up and get back to the show. And we literally got done with Cody and we got in Marty Scurll's line. And he's like, "Damn it, Cody, you guys are supposed to be packed up already. Like, can we cut it short?" And he's like, "I'm sorry, guys. You guys can't. No more line jumping. No. He's done." Meaning Marty Scurll. And I'm like, "Oh, man." And it, like, completely broke my little girl's heart. I'm like, "Dude, why are you a dick?"
Yeah.
Like, You don't. I mean, you could tell me, hey, line's capped. That's all you got to say. That's all you got to say.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go through all that mess. So,
Yeah.
he was much nicer to
Oh,
you.
if that's the case, you know what? On behalf of your daughter, fuck him. That's some bullshit. You know, I always, here's the thing, like I like for baseball games, it's like, yo, give it to a kid. And it's like, man, you know what? As a kid, I never got that ball, so it's like, no, fuck that shit. I'm keeping the damn ball. You can boo me all you want. They tell them to get better. You know, come see me, little kids. You want that? No. But at the same time, though, don't be a dick, though. Either. Don't be a fucking dick. You know, if you got to cap it for the fact that you need those guys to
I
do shit,
completely
you know.
understand. She completely understood.
You got a show to run. It sucks, but it is what it is. There'll be other times to meet Marty Skrull.
Yeah.
Don't ruin it for the kid or for anybody for that matter, though.
Yeah.
Too. Don't be a dick. Don't be a dick, especially when we're giving you your money, our money, I should say.
Yeah.
Not your money. But I go and I grab the merchandise and I come back and I miss the. I've since seen it on TV now, but I missed the Joey Ryan resurrection thing. And I say, hey, you know what I missed?
Resurrection.
Yeah. I asked what I missed, and you're like, oh, Joey Ryan's back, and you miss him having get an erection. I'm like, oh, okay. like you don't hear that shit either. Like, oh yeah, you missed the erection happening. It's like, am I still on a wrestling show? Like, what's going on here? So that was interesting to say the least. Really cool spot. Even without really knowing the storyline, I knew there was something to do with boots because I've seen the one episode of Being Elite where he was like trying to get rid of the boots. Yeah. It was the episode where like he's playing. He was doing a gaming session with Kenny Omega and Chase Owens. Yeah. So even without knowing that, it was still fun to watch. It was a really cool moment. Moving right along here, we get to our second of two championship matches. Probably the first time ever the NWA World Heavyweight Championship and the Ring of Honor World Championship were defended on the same night.
Oh, yeah.
On the same show.
On the same show.
So, the Ring of Honor World Championship was defended. The challenger, as we talked about earlier during the over-budget Battle Royale, Flip Gordon.
El hijo de Chico.
Versus the defending Ring of Honor World Champion, Jay Lethal, a.k.a. Black Machismo.
Man, another one off my bucket list. I've seen Jay Lethal before, but not as Black Machismo. And for him to come out and do the whole... Oh, man, dude. It was so fucking awesome.
And not only that, it's important to note that Flip Gordon was accompanied by Brandy Rhodes. Apparently they have some kind of friendship.
Yes, they are friends, supporters of one another. She's part of Flip's army. She came out in like a late 40s, early 50s pinup style suit, army suit,
right?
Complete with the cap, looking as gorgeous as ever as always. It was funny, the guys in front of us, there was like 4 or 5 guys that were from out of state for sure.
Yeah, I
know at least one of the guys was from New Jersey.
Right.
So they're all together sitting in front of us, and the one guy didn't know who Brandy Rhodes, he didn't recognize her because she had different clothes on.
Right.
So he's like, who's that with Flip? And the guy next to him's like, oh, that's Brandy Rhodes. She came back out, and he's like, oh, she changed clothes. Like, why is she in army clothes? And he's like, well, because Flip Gordon used to serve in the military.
Yeah,
that's kind of his thing. He has Flip's army. She's part of Flip's army. And the original guy's like, man, what a horrible wardrobe. And then the other guy turns to him right away without missing a beat, and he's like, you're a horrible wardrobe. But yeah, Brandy comes out with Flip as part of Flip's army. And tit for tat, Jay Lethal, as he was leaving the dressing room,
yes,
you see a hand come out and stop him and give him Macho Man style glasses, and Lethal's like, no, and then that hand taps him on his shoulder, and he instantly turns into Black Machismo. So if you haven't been following the storyline, also on Being the Elite, they were doing a story where Jay Lethal has taken too many bumps, and he's having like personality issues. Like his personality is split between Jay Lethal and Black Machismo. And whenever he receives a tap on the shoulder, he instantly goes into Black Machismo mode. So that's what that was about. So when he does come out, because as they're showing him come in and he gets tapped by that hand, he was in Jay Lethal clothing. He comes out on stage to the one and only pomp and circumstance, and out comes Black Machismo. Shades, hat, fringe, the whole nine, and he is with the genius Lenny Poffo, who, if you don't know, is Macho Man Randy Savage's brother.
Yes.
Kayfabe. And so they come out together, and I believe they are officially now called Brothers from Another Mother, hence the shirt, which I'm sure is available at ProWrestlingTees.com. But they come out together, and Jay Lethal is defending the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship against Flip Gordon in this match. The match goes almost 15 minutes. Again, one of those matches, I never would have guessed it went 15. This was phenomenal for me. This was phenomenal. The whole bit where he immediately thought Brandy Rhodes was Elizabeth.
Yeah,
and
that was cool.
He kept trying to put her in his corner only, and then he held her up on his shoulders, and dude, I loved every bit of it. And again, going back to Flip Gordon, my kid is a huge Flip Gordon fan, and she was so disheartened to see Flip lose. But I told her basically what you said earlier, like, this wasn't bad for his first try, meaning he's going to get other tries, and I agree. I think we're looking at a future World Ring of Honor champion.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a guy that has all the credentials right now. I mean, he's got the look, he's got the charisma, and he's got the talent. That's really all you need to be successful. As long as you hold on to that. It's not as easy as that, but it's, in a nutshell, it is. It was a cool match. You know, I said my piece earlier about what I would have liked for this championship match, but for Flip Gordon and Jay Lethal, they had a really good, solid match. I love the Macho bit. I love that. Of course, Macho Man Randy Savage is always going to hold a special place in my heart as a wrestling fan. I thought it was amusing to see Flip Gordon Hulk up.
Yes, that too. Oh, my God.
That did happen. He hulked up, did the whole point and everything, the leg drop, the whole shebang. Even the Mega Powers handshake.
Yeah, that was cool, too,
that was
man.
cool, man. So it had such it was kind of like the match before with Janela and Paige, minus the hardcore bits. You had wrestling, you had storytelling, you had comedy, you had everything, man, and it was a really good, solid match. And I would like to see it have gone longer. Really, I mean, those guys really set the bar pretty high. I think to me personally. It got met and raised, but they did a good job of because this was of all the other matches on the card, this was one of those matches that didn't get talked about a lot, but also too it was at the disadvantage of Jay Lethal didn't have an opponent prior to 0 Hour happening, but they definitely made a name for themselves, and I think they represented Ring of Honor very well. Excellent match, man! Excellent match. It was really good. Yeah. The next match was
the beef.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
This right here was, I've never been more torn.
Both those guys.
Yeah. Never been more torn before in a match. You had Best Bout Machine, Kenny Omega versus Penta El Cielo Miedo.
Holy shit, man. First time
ever. I got
ever,
chills just saying that again.
Me too. First time ever anywhere in a singles match. And previous to this, they've only met one time in a tag match.
Okay.
That was in 2017 at a PWG show.
Okay.
Other than that, they have no other in-ring experience with one another. So another one off my bucket list. Not just that I got to see Kenny Omega in a first match against someone, but this was my first time seeing Penta live.
Me too.
Oh my god, dude! And it was not disappointing. Going back, we were watching the All In pay-per-view before we started recording, and the announcers basically said, "This, you're getting chills. This is the kind of crowd reaction you get when you're seeing something of the caliber of a dream match," and that's exactly what this is. This is a fucking dream match.
Yeah.
Immediately after the bell rings, the entire crowd is chanting "Holy shit!" because that's exactly what it felt like, man.
That's
like,
what it was.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
I can't believe this is happening. And they did not disappoint. Let me tell you, that package pile driver that he does, that Penta does,
Yeah.
is some scary fucking shit.
Especially when you're doing on a...
And he did it. He did it to Omega multiple times, but the one on the ring apron,
Yeah,
which
that
is
one.
again, for those of you who don't know, the apron of the ring is the hardest point of the ring, no matter what organization you're wrestling for. It's
Right.
all built the same way. So he fucking package pile drived him on the ring apron, and I immediately thought, oh my god, his neck is fucked up. He's dead. Whatever the case may be, they're gonna call this match because that looked fucking gnarly as hell.
My wife knew going into this match, going into the show. She asked me, obviously Kenny Omega's gonna be there, right? I was like, yeah, Kenny Omega's gonna be on the show. Like, that's your boy. That's the match you want to see the most. Yeah, it is. I was like, who are you facing? I was like, that's what gives me goosebumps. And immediately she's like, oh, is it Naito? I was like, no. I was like, don't get me wrong, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But he's done that before. And don't get me wrong, please do it again. Potentially Wrestle Kingdom, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But I was like, no. I was like, he's fighting Pentagon. She's like, you mean that scary guy? Because she's seen him a few times, and she's heard me do the chant before, and she's like, another one you're obsessed with.
On the episode of Being the Elite where he learned who he was facing for All In, that's how he referred to Pentagon as the scary guy from Impact.
Yeah. So she's not the only one. I was like, you have no idea. Like, this is the first time ever,
Anywhere
in
the world,
that this is happening, man. And like, Kenny Omega was supposedly booked in the 6-man tag.
Yeah, originally it was supposed to be the Elite, the Bucks and Kenny versus, I'm going to call him Team Mexico.
Okay, Team Mexico. And that'd have been fine, but man, you talk about, I'm going to sound really cheesy here, but going all in on something, this is it right here. You have something that, you have the World Heavyweight Championship, the Ring of Honor World Title. You have this and you have that. What about a first time ever? And to do it with this caliber of talent is absolutely just mind blowing. And I remember just standing there watching it and all, and then texting her real quick. I'm like, "There's a holy shit chant." And she's like, "Oh my god, is that good of a match?" I was like, "The match hasn't started yet." They haven't done anything yet. I mean, that's what it was. And I remember that you and I sat next to each other, and I remember just saying to you, like, this is one of those matches that you always felt that it could happen, but because they don't wrestle for the same companies usually, it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
Like, how are we going to do this? And it's like, fuck, here's the perfect opportunity. And I'm so glad that whatever happened in the decision-making process of booking these matches, that this match got booked. That somebody somewhere has said, you know what, let's do this. And it's like, hell fucking yes. Hell yes. And the match just it didn't disappoint, man. It was so good. You had two guys that are not afraid to take bumps. And for two guys that never faced each other before, they've only been in the ring with each other one time prior, to have that kind of trust, that package pile driver, that kind of trust on somebody, and to take that bump is mind-boggling to me. Because it's scary as a fan to watch. Not because we don't want to see anything bad happen to Kenny Omega or anybody for that matter, but just to see it happen, period, and it's like, oh my god, like.
And then, well, not only that, but the one move, I don't even know what to call it, but it was like
I know what you're talking about, though.
It was like some sort of like rotating driver.
Yeah.
And
it was out of nowhere.
Dude, again, not to sound like a broken record here, but I've been watching wrestling for 36 years. I've watched all kinds of wrestling. I have never seen that move ever in my life. And I watch a lot of wrestling.
Yeah.
Me trying to describe it just doesn't do it justice. And I wish I could sit here and say, like, oh, this is an excuse for me trying to sell you on buying this pay-per-view. It's not, but even if you go on YouTube and hopefully there's highlights of this or whatever.
Right.
I don't care how you watch it. Watch that part of that match at the very least, because you're gonna have to do like a triple take looking at it. You're gonna rewind it and you're gonna be like, what the fuck did I just see?
I've seen it twice now. I've seen it at the show in person, and then via the Honor Club. And now the time have I figured out how he pulled that move off.
Dude,
I
it was
no
insane.
Clue. I have no clue how the physics of that work. It didn't matter who won. This is one of those matches that no matter who comes out as the victor, you're going to be exhausted as a fan because of the back and forth that you have and the shots that they were taking from each other. When Pentagon says zero fear, it's not a gimmick. That dude has no fear in what he's doing out there, and then Kenny Omega has proven that and throughout his career too. Yeah, he's a great wrestler, but he'll go as far as he has to. That's what makes him the best bout machine.
Yeah,
so absolutely tremendous match. I cannot. You're right. We can't verbally give this match justice. You just have to watch it. You have to watch it to believe it. And again, it's one of those things we keep repeating. But what an honor, just like with the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, to see that title, to see it change hands. What an honor it was to see for the very first time ever. So any company that these two may do this again at, they can never say that they were the first. Some small-time independent show that doesn't have a company tied to it put this match on first in front of a little over 10,000 people. So hats off to whoever booked this match. I mean, and then obviously Kenny and Pentagon. If I wasn't recording right now, I'd stand up again and give you guys a standing ovation. You guys just absolutely blew my fucking mind last night.
And again,
thank you so much.
And again, man, it almost went 18 minutes, and it didn't feel like it.
No,
not at all, man.
Like seeing that time, it's like, damn, give them another 10 minutes at least.
Oh yeah.
Then again, somebody might actually be dead at that point. The way they were going, they were going hard, man. They were going hard from the get go. But we got to move along, and we need to talk about the next match, and that is Marty Scurll representing the Bullet Club, the Villain Club, Bullet Club Elite now, versus the Rainmaker, the leader of Chaos. Again, I'm representing Chaos right now, Kazuchika Okada.
You know, I said this last night to you, and I don't know how many people picked this up, but I find it very interesting and ironic that Kazuchika Okada, the Rainmaker, is fighting Marty Scurll, the villain, who always comes bearing an umbrella. So you have a guy who can make it rain against a guy who carries an umbrella. Like, how fucking serendipitous is that? I know they didn't book it that way, but, like, holy shit. Anyway, this is the longest match of the night, going a little over 26 minutes.
And that's a big deal for when we talk about next. So.
It is a big deal, and for one, it definitely felt like 26 minutes. And I'm torn. I'm torn when I say that because I did enjoy the match, although I do think it started off slow, and I do think it had some communication problems during the match.
Yeah.
With that being said, I still enjoyed the match, especially the end. The longer the match went on, it got better for myself. I don't know how you feel, but it was cool seeing Okada again in the States and Marty. I don't know that I would change too much about this match, but I think out of everything, this is the match. This and the Christopher Daniels match were the only two low points for me in the entire card, and that's it. It's like it's not even a bash. It's just like hey, you guys could have worked the kinks out.
Sure, yeah. It's not going to be a perfect show, and that's not what you're saying here. I totally understand what you're saying. Again, the whole storyline here thing, the whole storyline here is apparently Marty Scurll is trying to become a heavyweight.
Yes.
You and I have talked about this before. I agree with you when you say that you're not a big fan of how the term junior heavyweight is used these days. It's almost like a derogatory word now, where you're just a junior heavyweight. You're just a little guy. I'm not a fan of that either. There's a lot of junior heavyweights out there that will blow a lot of heavyweights out of the water. So I don't like that. But again, that's what the gimmick is right now. There was some guys pointing the finger at Marty, like literally pointing the finger at Marty while he was coming out to the ring, and they had their fingers snapped. So the whole thing was Marty Scurll trying to become a heavyweight, and one of his first challenges happens to be the guy that held on to the IWGP Heavyweight Championship for over 700 days in Kazuchika Okada. And throughout the match, it was Scurll trying to knock down Okada, whether it be shoulder blocks or clotheslines or picking him up with suplexes and failing for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not completely against that, but it's one of those situations where they had their hand caught in the cookie jar one too many times.
Yep.
There was a spot where Scurll hits Okada with the brainbuster.
Awesome fucking
brainbuster.
Man.
And then immediately goes for a powerbomb and can't pick him up.
Yeah,
it's like,
that made no sense whatsoever, man.
You just suplexed him, man. You just hit him with a brainbuster, and then you can't pick him up again. It's like, that's what I mean by that. It's like, okay, you did that in the beginning. The match was slow. I remember telling you, it's like, man, this match seems a little lackluster here. And it's like, and it finally picked up, but again, it was one too many like things where it's like, can he do it? Can he not do it? This and that. And it's just like, dude, it's like, you've already done this part. Move on to the next chapter in the match. And it kept going backwards.
And you know what? That was the biggest flaw in the match. When you book a wrestling show, you try, as a booker, you try to keep the emotions of your fan, or the emotions that you want to create during the evening. You want to keep them in check. So you don't want to go. You don't want your fans to be completely blown away the entire time, because that's very taxing on someone's emotions.
Yeah.
You're trying to tell a story overall with your entire card, and you don't want your fans to be booing all the time,
right,
or cheering all the time. Like there has to be points where there's lulls in the show. There has to be points where there's a safe break time for people to get up and go to the bathroom or what have you. You have to factor all these things in when you're booking a show.
Right.
This match, which is the match before the main event, is traditionally called the cool-off match, because you're trying to present a wrestling match that doesn't get your crowd emotionally charged too much, because they still have to go through the main event.
Yeah.
And especially on a show like this, because the show was 4 hours of pay-per-view, but 5 total.
Yeah.
So I see that immediately. I was like, okay, if this is the cool-off match, I could see where some of this is going. But the point you bring up with them going back to the well too many times, that was what ruined this match for me.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have to do that. They could have easily gotten away without doing that. And when we talk about the main event, it'll make more sense, but they shouldn't have done that.
Right.
So, but other than that, a solid outing between Okada and Skrull, which I think is the first singles match they've had.
Yeah, it seems to be fair.
So
they probably, I think they've been in the ring in tag matches, but
but never a single. So yet another first,
Right.
Which again I am ever so grateful for. Thank you again.
absolutely, yeah. It just it had that miscommunication in what type of match they should be having, and of course with the time. It wasn't a bad match by any means. I'm not going to say it was a terrible match or anything like that, because it wasn't. But I just felt that for the most part it was lackluster. It was a little confusing, and I think if hopefully we get an Okada versus Skrull too, I think it'll definitely be a lot more. The kinks will be worked out. So
let's hope so.
Let's hope so. Yeah, because you got two. Obviously, Okada, I don't even need to justify him. I mean, one of the best in the business today. Marty Scurll is a very solid wrestler in his own right. He continues to impress. So
Don Callis hit it on the head while he was commentating for this match. He said Okada is like Bret Hart. He's only got so many moves that he does, and you know they're coming, but he's so damn good at what he does, he always gets them past you. Like, no matter how much you scout him, he always seems a way to get past you and beat his opponents.
Yeah.
And he's
That's
absolutely absolutely right, man. So again, this match went way too long.
26 minutes.
I'd say for my money, probably about 10 minutes too long.
That's fair.
Is that fair?
That's fair.
And with that being said, we enter our main event, which is a 6-man tag, and I earlier referred to them as Team Mexico. It is Rey Mysterio, the legendary Rey Mysterio, Bandito, and Rey Fenix taking on the Young Bucks and Ibushi, aka the Golden Elite, which I don't know why they weren't.
Yeah, they didn't call them the Golden Elite.
Yeah, I don't know why they weren't introduced as such.
That was weird for me.
They were labeled Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, and Kota Ibushi, the Young Bucks.
I wonder if it was a Justin Roberts thing.
I don't know.
I don't know
but,
if he's too familiar with what's going on, but yeah, it was a little weird for me.
So they come out. The Bucks debut their brand new entrance music, which if you haven't heard, it is on YouTube in its entirety. What we'll do is we'll add it to our teardown list for this episode 29 on YouTube. You can check our official YouTube page over at 20x20crew.com/podcast/YouTube, and you'll be able to find it there on the playlist marked episode 29 teardown list. So they all come out, and it is clearly a rush job.
Yeah.
I don't think Skrull and or Okada were completely off the ramp yet when
they were not. They were barely out of the ring.
Yeah, they were barely out of the ring, and the match was already being announced. So all 6 competitors come out. Notably, Rey Mysterio comes out dressed up as Wolverine from the X-Men, which was sort of cool. I was trying to explain this to my wife. Like, he does this all the time. He always has very custom ring attire, but this one, something was lost in translation. It was like too much luchador and not enough Wolverine or something of that nature. Like, the mix was off.
It just looked like a bad Party City costume.
It did. It really did. And then you and I were trying to figure out what was up with his chest and his stomach, because we didn't know if it was padding, like inside padding from the suit, or is he a little bloated, because I'm pretty sure he's not on steroids anymore.
He was juicing pretty hard for a while.
So that could be what it is, but either way, he looked awkward.
I refer to him, and I mean no offense by this, but I refer to him as Fat Rey Mysterio, or Fat Wolverine.
Fat Wolverine.
Fat Wolverine, yeah, because that's what he looked like. He looked super bloated in that attire. It just looked awkward. I love Rey Mysterio, but I'm not always a fan of his attire.
And that music.
Or the music. The music's always been bad, though. He's never, besides like the old like Rey Mysterio music.
Yeah,
you know, the non-hip hop stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you hip hop your thing, that's fine. But like his has always been bad, terrible. Man, your music's terrible.
So this match should have went probably about 22 or 23 minutes, but instead it goes a little less than 12, and we finish the pay-per-view with 3 seconds to spare. At the end of the pay-per-view, you hear Ian Riccaboni.
Yeah, Rickajabroni.
Rickajabroni.
Say it right. No, I'm just not fucking with you. It's Riccaboni. It's Riccaboni.
He's trying to sign off, and they cut him off.
Nope.
To show the last entertainment splash screen or whatever company. So, but the match itself was one hell of a fucking match, because guess what? They had 10 minutes less to work with, so it was like spot after spot after spot with no slowing down.
Yeah.
It was high octane the entire time. It made for a very interesting main event.
Stephen Amell had to get more air action just watching that match. He couldn't hang with that, man.
Damn, it was they were all over the damn place. They were hitting each other pretty hard. It was great, dude. And I loved every second of it, man. I got to see Ibushi again.
First time?
First time. Same with Rey Fenix. And I had a blast. I had a fucking blast. Your thoughts on this match?
It was interesting that this was the main event, but seeing what they originally had planned, it was just pretty much like an extravaganza, almost like watching fireworks, and now here's the finale. It's just boom, 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 boom,
yes.
boom, boom, boom. And that's what this match was supposed to be, whether it was going to be 11 minutes, 12 minutes, or 22 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a little short of 12 minutes. And, yeah, it was the right guys. No storylines, no heat, just flat out high profile match, high profile, high octane wrestling at its finest. You had the names, obviously. You know, Rey Mysterio. How cool is it to see Rey Mysterio? You know, at this point in his career, still wrestling. You know, obviously the Bucks. 2/3 of the guys that put this show together. My first time seeing Kota Ibushi as well, Rey Fenix as well. You know, our second time seeing Bandito, but he's still a relatively new guy for us, you and I.
Fourth generation wrestler, ladies and gentlemen.
Is he now?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. I'm learning more and more about him. If you don't know Bandito, which is not surprising at this point in time, man, look up some Bandito, because he's fucking legit, that's for sure. All 6 of these guys are. It was cool, man. It was cool, and I'm glad that even though it was rushed, they didn't let it affect. Oh man, like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Like they are, you know, like as Triple H would say, there's always a plan B, and in this case, we're just gonna do the same thing,
just faster.
Just do it faster. Just do it faster. And you know what? Those guys had no problem doing it, man. It was the right match, because had this not been the main event, they probably got lucky here. Had this not been the main event, let's say it was Kenny versus Penta, doesn't work. It doesn't work because you have that build-up that happens, and now you have to rush it.
Yep.
And you have a lot of disappointed fans and disappointed wrestlers at that point.
Yeah.
So this is the right fit, because this was already going to be a high octane match. You just do it even faster than you originally planned to do it. So, yeah. Did it suck that it was cut short? Of course it does. But overall, it did not affect the quality of the match at all.
They made it work, man.
Yeah.
They so made it work.
To talk about the time constraints, there had to have been a communication error. Tiger Hattori, who was the referee, we didn't talk about really yet that there was a lot of different changes in referees and ring announcers, even guest commentators throughout the show. And Tiger Hattori, who is a referee for New Japan Pro Wrestling, their senior referee, because you had Earl Hebner here as well. You had Todd Sinclair, and I'm forgetting the other name of the Ring of Honor wrestler.
Yeah, there was like 3 Ring of Honor referees.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Master Jerry Lynn did as well. So Tiger Hattori, he comes out. He's refereeing this match, And it's you and I checked as we watched it the second time on TV. He's not wearing an earpiece.
He's not, and you know what? I don't. Now that you mention that, I don't know that any of them were wearing earpieces.
Some guys were.
Some of them
Some
were.
of them were,
Okay.
yeah. So that could have been the issue where
yeah.
they,
There was a couple times too during the night where the mic would cut in and out, so that could have been an issue. Maybe he was wearing an earpiece and we just didn't see it, and maybe it didn't.
could be, yeah.
The message didn't go through. Who knows? There was a lot of outside storms going on. Definitely, you could hear it in the arena when it thundered.
Right.
Like, that was pretty crazy. Which, by the way, not to get off the subject of the main event here, but so we had two spots at the show last night where the lights went out. One after the Adam Page
Yes.
match, and then another after the Omega match.
Oh, how did we forget about that?
So we'll go back.
Okay.
I thought they should have used that to their advantage because of all the thunderstorms and stuff going on outside the venue. They could have capitalized on that and maybe pumped in a fake thunderstorm noise during at least one of those lights out.
Yeah.
Like it would especially during the one for Omega. I think it would have made much more sense there.
Right.
And then have what happened happen. But man, maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's what it was. And
Well, for people who are watching at home, I did do some of the forums that I read regarding All In. The feed was cut at least 3 times, very briefly, but they did lose the feed a few times. So.
yeah, we actually got an email with our tickets stating that like there's pretty bad weather headed our way, so make sure you dress prepared and all that. So yeah, and you could feel the stadium rumble. You could hear it from outside.
Yeah.
Thunder cracking and shit. It was crazy. But going back really quick, the other dark spot we were talking about was after the Kenny Omega match. The lights go out, and when they come back on, Penta is still in the ring laying down. So Kenny's just kind of celebrating, and then Penta gets up out of nowhere and proceeds to beat the hell out of Kenny Omega. Only it's not Penta, it's Chris Jericho in Pentagon's suit, complete with makeup.
Yeah.
So he gives him a quick beatdown and lets him know that he's going to see him at the Jericho Cruise. If you don't know, the Jericho Cruise is happening, and the main event for that show is the Alpha Club versus the Bullet Club.
Yes, it is.
So you've got the Bucks and Kenny Omega taking on... Oh, I'm sorry. The Bucks and Chris Jericho as the Alpha Club taking on Cody, Kenny, and I believe... Marty.
Yeah.
As the Bullet Club. Cool shit.
Yeah, cool shit to advertise. Again, more advertising for another show. Another independent wrestling show guy putting on a show by himself. A whole cruise.
The whole cruise.
A whole cruise, man. You know, so that in a nutshell, if I say it like that, it sounds bad, but that's All In. That was All In as a whole.
That's a lot.
It's a lot to take in, man. It is a lot to take in. There's no doubt about that. What, as a whole, you know, what would be your closing remarks to All In?
This was not only a good time. This was what everyone should ever want out of a live wrestling event. And I need you to understand, for those listening, I've watched a lot of wrestling in my life. I've been to many wrestling shows, and this is like my top 3, if not my favorite, like ever. I mean, everything just came together so fluidly.
Yeah.
And the crowd was fucking amazing. I couldn't ask for a better live event, man, and it made it that much more special to me because this time it just wasn't me with my close friends. It was my daughter being there too, and my wife, who is ever so appreciative of the way I help raise our daughter. She she couldn't thank me enough. She's like, she actually loves wrestling, and she can't stop talking about it. And for her to be a part of something like this is like crazy, just absolutely crazy. It did my heart good when Cody came out. Like, she's a huge Cody fan.
Yeah.
But it did my heart good when, she realized just how important that title was. And she got up, she stood up, and regardless of whether she wanted to or not, she showed respect and she clapped for the champ as they entered the ring. And she knows what that title means to me, and just how important it is to wrestling in general. And she's only 14, so I was super fucking ecstatic for her to be there and for her to get to see all of this. It's crazy.
This is the part where I might sound a little extreme, or I might sound a little emotional, but I'm a very tough critic of WWE. I wholeheartedly admit that, and I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not taking that away for myself. Get better, or I'm going to continue being a tough critic. And the reason why I'm a tough critic, because I haven't been watching for 36 years, but there become a point in time where I will, and 46, and God willing, 56 and 66 years, and so on and so forth. And I hope someday I have that moment too, where I get to pass that torch with the next generation of wrestling fans. And the reason why I'm a tough critic on WWE, ladies and gentlemen, is because as a wrestling fan, you know what you want. You know what is reasonable to request from a company. And with WWE, it's hold out your hands and let me take a shit in it and just like it. And you're supposed to like it. You're supposed to enjoy it because we say you're supposed to enjoy it. And what does that mean for everybody else? Well, it doesn't mean a whole lot. Independent wrestling has always stood out to me because it was originally it was an escape. It was something brand new. It was like when I went with you to my very first Ring of Honor show and seeing Bryan Danielson versus Austin Aries in the main event and seeing what wrestling could be. And to me, it was just like, this isn't wrestling. What is this? Like, you're lying to me. Like, wrestling like this doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't happen. It's only what you see on TV. That's all that exists, is what you see on TV. And that's the mindset that I had prior to my eyes being reopened. Like, no, man, like there's other things out there. And for the longest time, they're the little guys. Only the little guys can. I'm not talking about stature here. I'm just talking about name-wise. They're just the little guys, the minor leaguers, as some would call them. And what All In was, and what All In will stand for, is that those little guys, if you want to call them little guys, they won. The little guy had their day, and that was All In. And although I don't see them as little guys, if that's what the rest of the world sees them, that's fine. That's fine and dandy. But the little guys had their day. They had their moment. And you saw that with the matches, the embracing, the dropping the storylines, dropping the gimmicks for the most part, and say, you know what, I'm just proud to be here, be on the stage. And you know what it reminded me of, for anybody that's a WWE fan, go on your WWE network right now if you have one. If you don't, 20x20crew.com/podcast/WWE network, all one word, because I'll never stop promoting that. Go on your WWE network right now and go to this little show that took place in March of 1985. A little show called WrestleMania. And you see the look on the eyes of so many of the wrestlers that were on that card, because that was a gamble. And if you don't believe me, check out the documentary of the story of WrestleMania. That was a gamble. If WrestleMania doesn't work, there's a lot of guys out of a job. A lot of guys that are blackballed because we're still talking about the territory days.
Mm-hmm.
That had to work. That had to work. So you had to put everything you had. You had to, pun intended on here, you had to go all in. That's what you had to do. And that created this thing called WrestleMania, this giant called WrestleMania. And for anybody out there that's rolling their eyes right now, no, I am not calling. All In is not WrestleMania, nor did it become WrestleMania last night. It's not what I'm saying. But it had that same feeling where everything is on a line. Yeah, there's no territories, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Sure. But this is your moment to shine. You have this huge platform. You have all this hype behind you. All eyes are on you. There's so many people watching. I don't know what the buy rate count or anything like that is right now, but a ton of over 10,000 in attendance and a lot more watching at home. And it's your opportunity to showcase what you have. Whether you're a Kenny Omega who's already done that, or if you're a guy like Matt Cross or a Tessa Blanchard or a Hangman Page who are still trying to do that for themselves. This is your opportunity to do that. And that's what you saw all night long. Win or lose, the job was to showcase everything that you have in the allotted time that you have. And that's what they accomplished. That's what I mean by the little guy won. For me, it was seeing Cody win the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, and it's like that ultimate passing of the torch of, he did it, and he made his father proud, and it's just like putting myself in his shoes for the accomplishments that I've done in my life, where I've had my father tell me he's proud of me, and it's like you feel that emotion. That's why I said, like, when I saw Cody come out, and it's like you saw that, it's like, man, something special is going to happen tonight. The Kenny Omega and Pentagon match, where you saw two guys who are just destroying it right now in their respective companies, and they come out and they face each other for the very first time, and they just say, let's steal the show. Let's give these people something to remember. Every single person had that mentality, and that's what All In was. For me as a fan, like that's what it was. And we're going to talk about a little more here in a second here, but you heard we were there live, obviously, and there was a moment. There was some more stuff that happened after the cameras went off, and everything that I said was pretty much reiterated by those guys in the ring, and especially Cody. What Cody said, man. He at one point in your life, everybody has felt undesirable. And man, how fucking true that is. I think anybody out there listening can relate to that. But by what he and everybody else accomplished that night, they made themselves, undeniable. It was his words, and think of what the two words "all in" means in a lot of things. In poker, that means you are willing to gamble everything that you have on the hand that you have been dealt. Whether it's a legit hand or if it's a bluff, you're willing to gamble it all. And win or lose, you're willing to go all in. That's what this pay-per-view was. Win or lose, you had a handful of guys that were willing to put in all their chips, everything that they had, willing to gamble everything to put on this show. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and it's a big hit for them. But if it does, my God, what can happen next? At the end of the day, it showed. As a fan, whether you were watching it at the Sears Center or you're watching it from the benefit of your couch, if you watched that thing, especially if you watched it live, you got that feeling of this was not like any other event. And that's with all due respect to any company around the world. But if you're a WWE, if you're a Ring of Honor, if you're a New Japan, you don't have to necessarily have that anxiety of this has to work. At least not all the time.
Right.
This has to work. This has to. where everything that you put in, not just the money, but the time, the effort, the passion, everything was for nothing, man, if it doesn't work. And obviously it was a huge success, before it ever started. They sold out in 30 minutes. That's a win. The quality of matches were just absolutely unbelievable. The amount of support, I didn't realize how much support they had from all these other companies until I was there, and I was like, my God, like that's a win. Everybody is on board with you guys, and it was like, it was so good. And ladies and gentlemen, I can go on all day. And the point where I brought up WWE is because I loved what Cody said. No one man, no one company owns professional wrestling. I know there's a lot of people out there that have that mentality. And you know what? At the end of the day, you and I, if we're on the opposite side of the spectrum, we can go back and forth all day. And that's all it is a conversation or an argument. But it's the mentality of what these guys have, these men and women have, that no one person or one company owns professional wrestling. That we, as in them and as us as a wrestling fan, if we want something different, it's not enough to just bitch and moan and say, well, I like the WWE, but I don't like what they're doing with Brock Lesnar. I don't like what they're doing with Roman Reigns. I don't like what they're doing with Braun Strowman, this and that. Or just accepting it for what it is. Like, yeah, Braun Strowman's not ready yet, but he's the only thing happening right now. It's got to work, right? No. You can say, no, that's not what I want. And yeah, it's not about getting what you want all the time, but if you feel like you're being robbed, you feel like you're being played as a fool, as an idiot, you have a voice and say, you know what, I don't like that wrestling anymore. That's the reason why I'm so tough on WWE, because you know what, they can be a million times better than what they are now, but they choose not to be, and that's fine. What I loved about what Cody said is that there's wrestlers out there, it gave me a peace of mind, because there's wrestlers out there that feel the same way that you and I feel as fans. So you know what? There's got to be better wrestling out there, and they have the power to give it to us, and that's what they decided to do. Instead of conforming like the rest of the world wants them to do, it seems, they rather continue to revolutionize the company, and in hopes continue to make it better. Not just for an All-In 2 and All-In 3, but just wrestling in general. Raise the bar in a whole nother way that everybody else says, you know what, that's where we need to be. Or that's what we need to beat, is that bar. And that, to me, is what All-In accomplished as a whole. And I know I said I was supposed to wrap that up. I'm sorry for going on too long. But I'm so happy that there's wrestlers out there who are just as passionate about the business as a humble wrestling fan who is just doing a podcast on his couch right now. So thank you so much for every single wrestler that put on their boots for All In, for every single person that helped book the show, that helped, do whatever, make the t-shirts, everything. Thank you for the Sears Center for hosting it. Thank you for the Chicago crowd for just being so fucking awesome and representing one of the greatest wrestling cities in the world. I know I'm being biased because I'm from Chicago. But yeah, I again, I'm so proud of my city for what they did last night, man. It was so cool. So I would never be able to express my thanks enough to what is All In, what was All In September 1st, 2018. And it's be a show that I hopefully grow up to be a wrinkly old man and losing my mind. I will never forget that night for as long as I live, man. It will go down in history forever, man. So yeah, that's my lasting impression of All In.
Wow.
I know it was long.
No, just wow. I'm still in awe. I'm still in awe of everything that happened last night. At the end of the show, They did say a lot in the ring. We have added that to our YouTube channel. You can listen to that footage, courtesy of us. We're gonna add it to the end of this episode, so you get to hear it from the guys themselves.
Yeah. Thank you for recording that, man. I didn't even think about doing that. Thank you so much for thinking about taking the phone out and recording that.
All In 2.
That's all I can say.
I hope it happens. I hope the selfish part of me hopes it becomes an annual thing only in Chicago.
Sorry, rest of the world.
But let's face it, that's probably impossible.
But you know what? Here's the thing. For me, and I'm calling it right now, and I'm only speaking on behalf of myself right here. I'm not going to throw you on the spot. All In 2, if it happens, I'm there.
I would love to be there.
Period.
Whether that comes to fruition or not is a whole nother thing. But I would absolutely love to be there. So yeah, we're gonna end the episode this week. Again, thank you for always supporting pro wrestling and this show. For those that listen and follow and everything, thank you. For those who missed the show or just want to watch it again, or whatever the case may be, you can obviously order it on pay-per-view if you have pay-per-view available. I don't know what the cost is there.
I think it's still standard $40.
$40, okay, yeah. So
you can do that.
Or
there's a couple options you have.
Yeah, you can head on over and get yourself an Honor Club membership, and you can do that through us. 20x20crew.com/podcast/Honor Club, all one word.
If you do that, the regular subscription, the monthly subscription, you get a half off on all pay-per-views that include All In. So All In will be only $20 to you. Or if you want to pay it all up front, you want to do the whole year, yearly subscriptions, everything is included. So no additional costs for All In. Or any other Ring of Honor pay-per-view. That's
great. That's such an awesome deal. Another option would be through Fight TV. Again, we're offering it's back down to $15, but hey, $15 is still $15. So if you want $15 of free Fight TV credit for listening to the 20x20 crew, you can do that over at 20x20crew.com/podcast/fight. That's FITE. You're going to see a link for the app. Download the app, and then you will use our offer code or our invite code to sign up. You have to be a new user. You can't already have a Fight TV account, so you have to be a new user. But if you do it that way, we will give you $15 of free credit to watch whatever you want on Fight TV. Hopefully, it's All In.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few different ways you can watch the show.
Well, not only that, but also too, about to be added very soon. It's going to be added on New Japan Pro Wrestling World.
That's right.
The entire show.
If you're a subscriber to NJPW World, it will be on NJPW World. So there you go.
In its entirety, too.
In its entirety.
Not just
I completely forgot about that.
So you can get that on 20x20crew.com/podcast/NJPW. So you have options, ladies and gentlemen. Highly recommend this show. I highly recommend the show. You will not be disappointed. But just like anything else, watch at your leisure. We know you got busy lives, so watch at your leisure, because we always want you to support professional wrestling. And you can catch us on social media.
Twitter at 20x20crew, Instagram.com/20x20crew. Our official Facebook page is Facebook.com/20x20crew. You can come talk to us and discuss All In and any other wrestling you would like to talk about. Facebook.com/groups/20x20talk. And of course, our home, our domain on the web is 20x20crew.com.
If you haven't done so already, please, again, go over to our Instagram page and answer the question and get yourself put into the monthly drawing for a free wrestling themed prize. Absolutely free for you to play.
Absolutely
All you gotta
free.
do is have an Instagram account. That's free. Follow us on Instagram. That's free. Answer a question. That's also free. And then we deliver. If you win, we send you a free prize. That's also, guess what? Free of charge. So if you like free stuff, I like free.
Free 99 is best price in the world.
I never get free stuff. So if you like free stuff, you know wrestling trivia. You think you know wrestling trivia? Because I'm saying you don't. I think we're the only guys that do. I'm going to be a mega heel here.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I'm challenging you guys. You guys think you know trivia? Come show me what you know and win some free stuff in the process. Also, to our YouTube page, I know we've been slacking a little bit, admittedly. We have some new content coming very soon. We say that every episode. We haven't done it yet. We're slapping each other's wrists right now.
Yeah, there's a few up. There's a few new ones up.
We got a big one coming. There was a rumor here of a WWE versus New Japan show. So, of course, you and I had to completely pick that apart and fantasy book the shit out of that. That is coming up very soon, ladies and gentlemen. That's on me. I apologize for that. You can beat me up on YouTube for that one. But you guys are going to enjoy the hell out of that show. That was one of the funnest recordings that we've done, you and I, because it was so just there was nothing that we had written on that. It was just
it's all from just the top of the head, man. It was great. I had a lot of fun doing it. Matt, of course, is talking about our exclusive YouTube content in the following contest, where we fantasy book matches that we have seen or might not have seen, and we just have a lot of fun. You can catch that at 20x20crew.com/podcast/YouTube. It'll take you right to our channel. Please hit that subscribe button. Again, we had a ticket available for All In as part of the giveaway if we hit 50 subscribers. Obviously, that has gone by the wayside. I don't have an all-in ticket to give you now, but unless you want one that's been used already, I mean, sure. But the offer still stands. If we get 50 YouTube subscribers, we will do a YouTube exclusive raffle.
What he's trying to say here, ladies and gentlemen, is that these aren't just, we're not giving you like gumballs or anything like that.
Yeah,
like,
they're not idle threats.
Yeah.
They're promises. It's going to be decent stuff. I promise.
These are legit stuff, man. So, straight from our collection.
Yeah.
So,
yep, you're getting it right.
I'm giving you stuff out of my house, ladies and gentlemen. What do I got to do? No, thank you for the support as always. Again, support professional wrestling, support the babyfaces, support the heels, support independent wrestling like All In, support WWE. Please just get better. And again, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy this very special clip from All In that took place after the cameras went off air. Enjoy that. We'll see you next week for episode number 30. Until then, we will
see you in the ring.
Because I thought to myself, man, that guy's as crazy and as ambitious as us, Nick. So I said, hey, let's take this guy, let's ride with him, let's dine with him, let's hang out with him.
Hangman never paid for a single meal, by the way.
Hangman's like 21 years old, he's too young to pay for meals. But Cody came to us with this wild idea. He said, Young Bucks, Bullet Club, I think that we could put 10,000 asses in 10,000 seats. And knowing that my brother and I are pretty much up to absolutely anything. I mean, we invaded Raw that one time.
Guys, technically we were in the mall across the street.
Kayfabe, man. it didn't take just 3 men. It didn't take just the Young Bucks and Cody. It took each and every one of the people standing in this ring. This was a group collaboration. All the people in the back. And most importantly, as cheesy as it sounds, all 10,000 plus of you. We can feel it. We can feel it. There's a hunger. There's a thirst. You guys want good pro wrestling. You guys want good entertainment. And what we presented to you in those 4 hours and 57 minutes, oh my God, was our vision of what we think we can do with pro wrestling. Do you want more of this?
I know when you make a bet, sometimes you go double or nothing.
We have no graphic. We're not making an announcement. It's just something that, you know, we're brainstorming, we're talking about, we're spitballing. But if you guys want it, you want more pro wrestling from the cast of Being the Elite, and my family, my great friends, my cast of bandits, we will give you more of this. Because we couldn't have done this without you. Chicago, this is one of my favorite, you know what? This was my favorite night of my career.
You know what I like? Everyone is still in this building. All in is a serendipitous tale, things just falling in line one after another, and one of those things is not only did I find colleagues right here, not only did I find peers, these people are my best friends in the entire world. And that big question of what happens next with this group, we are sticking together. Because nobody, no man, no company, no entity owns pro wrestling. We own pro wrestling. And there are families out there, brothers, sisters, friends. Every single person knows what it's like to be told you are undesirable. What it's like to be told we can't fly you, you're from California. You're not good enough for WWE. Every single thing. The reality is this. No, the reality is this. This group went from undesirable to undeniable. Now let me present you, my friend and the leader of the Bullet Club. I need to hear the loud noise and her Come on, get up for it, folks. Let's go. I would hate to brag, but I wasn't one of the 3 brainchilds that created this show. I was merely a piece of the puzzle. I give all the credit in the world to Cody and the Young Bucks for what we've done today. That being said, I don't at all feel like an egomaniac when I say, my God, that was probably the greatest pro wrestling show I've ever been a part of. And you guys know where I come from. You guys know where some people want me to go, but guess freaking what? Guess freaking what? What we did today blew everything out of the water. And believe it or not, that's not just talking about the match quality. That's not talking about this incredible cast of characters. Guess what the most important ingredient is? Did you figure it out yet? Oh yes! It's each and every single one of you! Who guys believe in the change? Who believes in the movement? Who believes in the alternative? And thus, we shall continue this journey, but for now, we all must bid you adieu. So please, with me now, if you will, goodbye!